Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and we have yet again another 5 essential tips for you. Now this time it's all dedicated to training mode. So if you stuck with the game at this point, you probably want to get a lot better, so I'm going to tell you how to maximize your time in your training mode with these 5 essential tips. So our first tip here for training mode is about your health and your bar settings. So your health bar settings normally have it set to quick recovery, so meaning, whenever you deal damage, the combo, whatever have you, it's going to deal damage and health is going to come back right away. And for your meter settings, you have it set to whatever your default meter is, and you'll spend your meter, and if you go below your default, it's just going to bring you back to where your default was. Now normally, these are very good things, but sometimes you want to test out very specific setups. So I'm going to show you one specific setup that I had to craft myself in training mode. And I had to craft it by turning off all my health regeneration and setting my bars to 0. Because I was looking for a setup where I'm like, does this get rid of a character if I get the whole thing correctly from 0 bar? And I want to test it out, right? So right now we have it set up here. I'm going to show you the setup. So the enemy's health will not recover, and I'm going to start with 0 bar. So this would be just like the round 1 fight start of a match, right? So let me show you the setup I figured out. So at the end of that particular combo, the enemy gets to tech out, up, back, down, forward, whatever have you, and you gain about a little over a bar and a half. So when I was originally thinking of this, I'm like, well, can I do something about them teching up? And as I did it, I didn't know, I normally practice with 7 bars and auto health recover, so I didn't know the totality of, what was possible. So what I'm going to show you now is the completion of the setup, and for the purpose of this, I know they're going to tech up. So be aware of that, but just to show you now the same setup here with its completion that I was only made aware of by starting with non-regenerable health and 0 bars. So there you have it. Since I learned over the course of doing that combo and that setup, I dealt about half-life damage and I gained a significant amount of bars, so I figured if I could jump up and meet their up tech with my Dragon Rush, would I build enough bar to build exactly 3 bars and finish the character off? And yes it is, I could. So in this setup here, I only really learned it because I messed with the health values and the bar values. I didn't just have them at maximum and automatically regen like you normally do. So when you're trying to think of setups or whatever have you, it is in your interest to sometimes, scale it back or just turn them off and just see what would happen in a more live fire situation, more like a real match. Now, another thing about training mode that's very handy to know is about setting your enemy's guard. So if you go to enemy settings here, there's a bunch of stuff here. Pose, so you can choose what they're doing. So sometimes you want them to crouch. This can make them just jump non-stop here, and so on and so forth, and also match for guard setting. So the easy guard setting here is guard all. So no matter what they're going to do here, they're just going to guard everything, and you can just kind of play around with that, see what maybe pushback on block is, or whatever you need to test here. But there is more setups than that. So what we have here is guard follow-ups. So take the first hit in this situation here, but after that, they will start blocking everything. So the idea here is you just did like a quick hit, you snuck in a quick hit, maybe you have them in the corner, you're going for a pressure setup. You did get your first hit in, but after that they are going to block everything. Now this won't last forever here, so like if we do it, that's great, and if we do it and wait too long, it's just going to reset and they're going to get hit again anyways. And also has the basically companion feature of guard first only. So this isn't the first hit only, this is the entire string. So you see here, we can do whatever string. And the second there's a gap in the string, that is no longer a true block string, that is when they'll stop blocking. So they'll block everything as long as it's a true block string, but as soon as it's not a true block string, meaning they could do something in themselves, like they could deflect out or invincible move or whatever, that is when they'll stop blocking. So if you're looking for gaps in your offense, this is an easy way to test it, as they will block everything when it's a true block string, and the second it's not a true block string, they will stop blocking. And also, of course, there's just random blocks, so if you're looking on hit confirms or whatever have you, it'll just guard kind of wacky. It'll, it's random. Can't really say much more than that. So when you're looking to test how your offense works, all these options are a fantastic way to figure things out. Now, next up is dummy control. Now, I'm almost certain at some point I've mentioned this in another video, but since this is a training mode specific video, this is absolutely key and we gotta talk about it. So if you click in L3, that is the left analog stick on your controller, and if you are on an arcade stick, sometimes they have controls for L3, and if not, you can go to your accessibility settings on your PlayStation 4 menu to bind a button to L3 or R3. Xbox, I'm not sure, maybe leave a comment below if you know how to do it on Xbox, but long story short, one click there, we now control the opponent. So I have taken control of the enemy Nappa, and now I'm basically playing as him. You know, I can tag in another character, now I'm playing as Gotenks, so I can basically do anything I want. Now, the second click in here will start recording. So now whatever I do will be recorded. The third click in will end recording. You can see there it says save actions. So when you click in R3, that is the right analog stick, it'll do whatever you just recorded. So not only is this important, you know, just for, you know, testing out random things, or even at the very least, you know, moving a character around, you don't want to move around yourself, but this is how you're going to find out how real your offenses and your setups are, because you can tag in, or rather record your dummy, make sure they're the same character as you, to do your setups, and you are the one that's going to have to defend against them. So in this particular setup here, I have the enemy Nappa designed to do just an aggressive block string here, so I'm going to try to block everything. So now I'm going to hit play. Oh, so in that scenario, I got hit because I did not block low, so now I know better. So now I can try it again and block low. So there you go, and now, you know, I saw during that setup he planted the Cyberman. That's not good, so now I got to figure out how to stop him from planting a Cyberman. And turns out, oh, that gets rid of that trap, right? So there's intentionally a gap there that Vegeta can cover if you try to vanish in, and that's the kind of stuff you're going to learn just testing out your own pressure. You know, you think vanish is, you know, an easy solution, perhaps getting through an offense. When you try it yourself and record it against yourself, then you can find out, oh, that, you know, this might take care of this option or this other option or whatever have you. Now, one other thing quick to note here. So while you're in control of the dummy, so I have now taken control of the dummy here. When you go into the settings here, the guard actually matters. So if you're control of the guard, the enemy here, and the foe is not set to guard, they won't guard. And if you set the guard all, they will guard all. So it's just like when you have the dummy being attacked by yourself, it's much the same here. So it just reverses the roles here. So those settings also apply in this situation. So using control of the dummy, recording the settings, you know, recording your own attack setups, you know, whatever offensive pressure or anything you can think of is super key, because once you know how to defend against it, you can find out whatever weaknesses it may have, whatever strengths it may have, and now you know, many ways to deal with it that you might not have learned otherwise. Now, our next tip to talk about is setting the enemy's recovery settings. Now, this is super key. So, you see here, mid-air recovery and ground recovery. These are two different things, and you need to know your recoveries for not only yourself how to beat them, but how to use them yourself here, because the recoveries are super key, and you really need to know how they work. So first up here, we'll just get the foe in the corner, and what we're going to do here is just do Android 21's knee move here. So in this move here, this counts as a grounded recovery, so we can recover up, which will have the enemy kind of jump up in the air here. Now back recovery will be less high in the air, but say we were not in the corner, it'll bring us pretty far back. So, and we can also, and this is our delayed stand setting here, so we'll just set it to max for now. If you hold down while you're on the ground, and the ground recovery, you can hold down and you will delay your wake up, meaning that if the enemy has like a frame perfect setup or whatever have you, you can get out of it. So now one thing actually, besides just what I'm talking about right here, is super key to know that certain moves can change their tech, the recover setting. So this move right here is a grounded recovery. Now, however, if we do this move in the air, the recovery now changes to an air recovery, and the air recovery was set to forward, so they can get out from there. So much the same here as the ground recovery. Air recovery basically adds forward as an option, and it makes it a lot trickier here since you can now basically just get out of the corner. So if you are the aggressor in this situation, you know, have to have a plan to deal with it. So like Android 21, like her plan is you can do the anti-air grab and catch it anyways, but that's not going to be everyone. But so you really got to test all your setups here to make sure they are very much proof to all these various techs. So you got to try against all of them. You may think you have a perfect tech set up here, but you might find out that the defaults here are back and back. And yeah, it might be the back setups, but it may fail against up or forward setups or whatever have you. So you really need to test all your setups against all these options here. Now, if you are the one being hit, just keep in mind here, the setup to recover is the same as what the direction says. So hit a button to hit forward to forward recover, up the up recover, down to down recover, and back on the button to back recover. It's pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, you really got to test against all the setups here, because I've seen more than a few people I had to correct since the game's come out, think they have an air type setup, and all they have to do is just up recover and dash out of the corner, and their setup's ruined. So you really got to test against everything. And finally, let's talk about info settings for our last tip. So you might have dabbled around here, but I just want to go through all the options here, as they all have some varying use. So first up here is the virtual controller. So it's kind of unsightly because it just slaps it in the middle of your screen here. But if you're looking for exactly what your button presses are, you know, and exact time and moment of you doing them, this is the way to do it. So whatever button you press here, it's going to show up here. So you hit down, down, up, up, you know, any direction here. You can make fancy colors go by if you really want to just jam on this here. Every button press the moment you press it. So if you want to see what your inputs look like at the moment you're making them, this is the place to go to it. Now, generally useful one that for the most part should be on when you're, especially when you're testing combos, just to see what you did wrong if you are messing up, is the command history, as it'll just keep your history intact. Simple as that. So whatever button press you did in the order and you press them in, this includes your directions, it will show up here. Now, if you are looking to, say, blank these out real quick, all you need to do is just basically triple click L3 to get rid of control your dummy, because when you control your dummy, it blanks the input. And then 2 more clicks to bring input back to yourself, and you have a nice clear screen. Now, show high damage info. Honestly, this should have no reason to ever be off, unless you're just looking to clear up your screen. Knowing your damage is super key, and you just kind of need to have it on just to see what you're doing, because you know, gotta test those combos, you gotta figure out what does the most damage, whatever have you. Now, next up here, we have stun time. So this one's a little more harder to make a kind of esoteric use of, because it just simply, you can get to the end of a hit, stun, decay in a combo, and just sometimes you just can't see it, you know. I wish it was maybe a little more apparent, like changing colors as the hit stun is decaying, but it is what it is. So if you can make more sense of this than I can, because honestly I don't find too much use for it on, because if the combo drops, I can tell where it drops after I practice for a few times. You know, I don't need the stun bar to tell me that, but if you need to see a physical representation of it, then there you go. And now dummy info. Now this one I mostly have turned off. It just means you know, whether or not you're controlling dummy by using your L3, and when you're recording, it'll show you basically how many frames of animation you're recording for, and then that's all there is to it. I never have this turned on. I know when I control the guy. I know when he has a record slot, but it's there if you need it. And finally, the gauges. So you can just turn off everything and go from there. Honestly, the only real use for this, and I've used it myself, is if you want to capture any screenshots. You know, nice clear screen. The game looks beautiful, so if you use any particular frame of animation you like, turn off your gauges, practice this up, you can save it, you know, as a screenshot or wherever have you, and that's all you need. And that's kind of that. And that concludes our video. So I'll leave you with one bonus tip if you're not aware already. This is on the PS4 controller specifically. I don't have an arcade stick with a touchpad, and I don't think Xbox controllers have touchpads. So, but anyways, all you need to do is if you hit the forward or backwards button and hit your touchpad at the same time, you will bring yourself to that corner. So forward and touchpad will bring you to the far right corner here, back and touchpad will bring you to the left corner, and down and touchpad here will just bring you back to neutral. So just, you know, handy little thing here. I can't do it on an arcade stick because my arcade stick doesn't have a touchpad, and that kind of sucks, but you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. But as it stands here, I use it quite a bit while I'm training myself. But anyways, so training mode is super important here. If you want to get serious about the game, you're going to spend a large chunk of your time in training mode just practicing various combo setups, you know, everything you can think of here, because this is where you get better. If you're not aware of the term, a lot of us in the fighting game community call this the lab, you know, because this is the laboratory where we do our science. And the more you get better at this game, the more and more this place is going to be your home. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. I hope this video found you well. Go out and play some Dragon Ball.